Shalom, shalom, shalom. Everybody that's online, if you can hear us clearly, just let us know. Just put a one in the chat. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, just put a one, number one in the chat. You understand? So we can be able to know if everybody can hear us really good. And we're going to get the lecture started. Let us know if you can hear us. We live right now. Mark Doc, if somebody can pull up this page and see, just turn it on and see if you can hear it as well. If everybody can hear, just let us know. Just give a one in the chat. Let's get a one in the chat. You got it on, Mark Doggett?
Yeah, we can rock.
You can hear?
I see ones in the chat too.
Okay, most I encourage.
Somebody send me a link.
Mark Doggett shared it on his page. It's the ISUBK South Carolina page. It's No Cowards on YouTube, No Cowards South Carolina on YouTube, and ISUBK South Carolina on Facebook. Everybody got ones in the chat. We should be good up here. All right, we can go ahead and do it, man. Hold on. Give me one more second. Let me, all right, so of course, you can just click right here. So both of y'all, all three of us, like, just look at the computer screen so you can tell that you're in the computer. You're up there. So that you stand back as far as you can so you can see yourself in the picture. All right, but other than that, we're good to go. All right, folks. All right, we can clap it up one time, Again, like the brother said, we the Isupk, the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Muhammad. You understand? What we here today, what you'll witness today, man, is a lecture by two powerful priests and officers in the Isupk, Officer 5,000 Nataza and Officer 50 Thabawan. You understand? These brothers have put in countless hours gathering resources and evidence and history, you understand, on this wicked, disgusting religion called Christianity that has plagued, you understand, blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians ever since we got off from slave ships 400 years ago. You understand? So if you could give your undivided attention, take notes, you understand, and take heed to what these brothers is going to bring out, because contrary to popular belief, the problems and the conditions that you see in the black community are, if not all, you understand, are mostly solely, you understand, is a problem that has occurred as a direct correlation to Christianity. Right. You understand? Christianity, the lecture is called Christianity versus Revolution, man, because Christianity is what subdued the black man's spirit, man, right, to have a revolution against this oppressor that has been slaughtering us for 400 years, man. Right. So y'all make sure y'all take notes. How we gonna do this is we're gonna have Officer Nataza. He's gonna come up and he's gonna bring out the information that he has. We'll have an intermission and then Officer Thabawan will finish it out. If you have any questions that's on topic, what I tell you to do is just go ahead and try to write your questions down, whether it's in your phone, and at the end of the lecture, we'll get those questions. It's like something like you share. Kind of Most High Christ. Also, if you could go on your social media, Facebook and YouTube, like and share the lecture, so we can proliferate this truth throughout the whole world. You understand? If you have any concerns, you direct yourself to Shamar. Shamar will take care of any concerns that you may have. You understand? And other than that, we're gonna have food provided. Y'all gonna be able to eat, drink, have water. Restroom. We have one restroom in the back, two restrooms in the lounge, in the restaurant area on the other side of the building. You understand? If you need to get up and handle any business you got to handle to go ahead and do it. Also, if you could put your cell phones on vibrate. You understand? We don't want any disruptions, disrupting what these priests and prophets have built up for y'all today. And other than that, we're going to bring it out, man, so we can get a hand clap for priests and officers.
Get that brother a hand. We're at the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started on 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York, under Commander General Muhammad. And today, and this is a very special lecture, you understand, because Christianity has plagued brothers and sisters in the South so heavily, and we have no clue or no understanding as to why You understand the conditions are the way that they are. You understand, and that's why the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander Junior Hanna has been commissioned to come out and teach you the truth, which is the reason why we have the classes that we have. You understand, which is the reason why we provide you with the information that we do. You understand, so that we can wake you up to the understanding of the truth. Today's lecture is called Revolution versus Christianity. We're getting ready to talk about basically how Christianity, which is a very demonic, a lot of people don't understand this, but Christianity is a very demonic religion, okay, that's proliferated such an evil on blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians for such a long time. You know what I'm saying? And it's caused the condition of us to be so bad, and even in this time period. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a trickle down effect. It's like we were brought into Christianity as slaves, and then now today the things that we do that we don't understand actually comes from that time, comes from that implementing of Christianity on our lives. Okay, so we want to go into basically some history. The history that we're going to go into is going to show you how rebellions in slavery, in the times of slavery, basically got destroyed because of what you call black informant. A lot of y'all know what black informant is. I want to show you what black informant is. Black informant is something that was taught to us by Christianity, by our oppressors, by white society. Okay? So I'm going to show you how that affected us even to this day. If I can get them lights, we can get the first slide. We're going to get right on into it. All right? Let me get that first slide real quick, one more time. All right? Revolution versus Christianity. How Christianity influenced disloyalty that in turn destroyed the plight of black people to be free in America. All right? Obviously, by Officer Nataza, that's me. And Officer Thabawan, please give him a hand. Officer Thabawan is going to be doing this lecture with me. Very powerful brother, very smart brother also. All right, of course, under Commander General Yohana. Big shout out to Commander General Yohana. Give him a hand, man. If it wasn't for Commander General Yohana, if it wasn't for Commander General Yohana, lectures like this would not be, be happening all around the earth.
That's right.
All right, next slide for me. What we will be discussing. This lecture serves as knowledge authorized by the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge to educate you on the destruction of black people in America by the hands of the Christian belief system. Our goal is to expose you to the history of the oppressive evil nature of Christianity and how throughout centuries it has destroyed our efforts to be a free people. All right? Everybody familiar with this picture? This is a picture of Nat Turner. Can everybody see this pretty well? All right? Go ahead and read this. Nat Turner, first off, before I read this, Nat Turner is a very well-known revolutionary, of course, that fought for something that is very important, but just the way that he did it was not the way that, of course, the Lord would have wanted him to do it. However, his plight was very honorable. Okay? But we're going to get right on into it. The Nat Turner Rebellion in 1831 in Southampton, Virginia, is the most well-known, successful slave-led rebellion ultimately. All right? Turner was captured alive, and before his execution, he recounted his events to Tom Gray. If you could move that over just a little bit because it's kind of blurry right here. So likely, we're gonna get back to it. Move it over that way, so. Yeah, can you adjust the lens just a little bit? It just looks kind of blurry off to the right side. Yeah, might have to. Can you do that? Just adjust it to get some clarity. Right, it looked like this when you adjusted it like that. There we go. I think it's a little bit better. I can do that. All right. He recounted the events to Thomas Gray, who officially recorded Turner's confession, assuming the credibility of Turner's confession to Gray. All right. Hold on one second. Your head is in the way out. Confession. assuming the credibility of Turner's confession to Gray. Turner's version of events reveals the great lengths he went in order to keep his plan secret and how luck was sometimes necessary to avoid other slaves preemptively revealing information to whites. Turner believed God had commanded him to rebel and that he was to not tell anyone until he received the sign. All right? When he received the sign, he told four in whom he had the greatest confidence: Henry, Hart, Nelson, and Sam. Right? These are four other slaves, of course. They worked together to come up with plans, but rejected them all. Turner then received another sign that told him they could wait no longer. All right? So Nat Turner believed that there was a sign from heaven, there was a sign from God that told him that it was time to go against his enemies, to go against our oppressor. Okay? Which of course the end result, you know what I'm saying, was it shows you exactly how that turned out. All right, they worked together to come up with plans, but rejected them all. Turner then received another sign that told him they could wait no longer. So the group agreed on August 20th, 1831, to meet the next evening over dinner to finalize a plan. When the five met, they were joined by Will and Jack. Turner provided no explanation as to how Will and Jack came to be invited, except that Jack was only a tool in the hands of Hart. They all agreed to start the insurrection that night, Sunday, at the house of Turner's master, and in fact did so. Their killing spree began and spread. Other slaves joined as they went along. The group numbered 15 men, then about 40, then 50 or 60 members. So you have all these men that got Turner gathered up, and they were going to go out and they were going to basically slaughter white society, white people, for the crimes or for slavery. Okay, go to the next slide, please. All right. Eventually, the group encountered white resistance that forced the group to separate. All right. So they started getting some pushback. Turner sent two men, Jacob and Nat, to find Henry, Sam, Nelson, and Hart, and tell them to meet him where they had dinner the Sunday before. By Wednesday, and there's a reason why I have this in yellow, because in anything that you see in yellow is going to show you some sort of disloyalty that happened between black slaves. All right? By Wednesday, when no one had joined him, and he saw white men riding around looking like they were searching for someone, Turner concluded that Jacob and Nat had been taken and compelled to betray. All right? He hid in the woods for 6 weeks and was only discovered due to a dog that came across his cave where Turner had a piece of meat. When the dog passed by the cave again, this time accompanied by two slaves, the dog alerted to the cave. Turner thought he was discovered and so made himself known. The two slaves ran off and Turner knew they would betray him. So he left that hiding space and was free for 2 more weeks before being discovered. All right. The 2 points I want to get out of that, just that particular thing, is that he already knew that there was going to be an act of betrayal. All right. And I'm showing you this because later on I'm going to show you why this betrayal happens. I'm going to show you how Christianity is the reason why a slave would go and tell on another slave to get them arrested or to get them put to death. All right. Next slide. Denmark, BC. Y'all should know about Denmark, BC. That's a prominent figure in Carolina history, especially out in Charleston, South Carolina. All right. 1771, 14-year-old Denmark, BC was transported from St. Thomas to Cape Francis by slave trader Captain Joseph Vesey. Upon a return trip to Captain Francis, Captain Vesey was forced to reclaim Denmark, who his master said was suffering from epileptic fits. Denmark accompanied Captain Vesey on his trading voyages until the captain returned to Charleston, never again showing signs of epilepsy. All right. In 1799, Vesey won the lottery and brought his freedom for $600. Now, this is kind of a little bit off topic, but man, this is crazy right here. as a black man and as a slave, it's just absolutely crazy that you have to win a lottery just to buy your damn freedom, man. And this man had to win a lottery just to buy his freedom. So every time I see this, personally, every time I see that, I'm just like, man, that is crazy. All right. He could not purchase the freedom of his wife and children. However, and some claim that this fact motivated his crusade to destroy the institution of slavery. So in other words, they believe that what inspired him to want to rebel against white Charlestonians or just white people in general for slavery was because of the fact that he was able to buy his freedom, but he was not able to buy the freedom of his family. All right. BC joined the new formed African Methodist Episcopal Church in 1817. He became a class leader, preaching to small group in his home during the week. White Charlestonians constantly monitored the African church, disrupting services and arresting members. An angry BC began preaching from the Old Testament, particularly Exodus, and taught followers that they were the new Israelites, the chosen people whose enslavement God would punish with death. The slaves knew they were Israelites.
Right.
The slaves, we've been known we was Israelites for a very long time. That's why we sung them old Negro spirituals, swing low, sweet chariot, wading in the water, follow the open door, all of the different songs we sung. Those origins of those songs come from us knowing and believing we were Israelites. You understand? So he knew this because he knew that our conditions were the way that our conditions were matched up with the way that the ancient Hebrew Israelites' conditions was in Egypt. All right. Next slide. Denmark, BC sought to strike Charleston, South Carolina in 1822. Peter Poyas was BC's second in command. All right. Poyas identified house slaves as the most likely of betrayers. Poyas is his second man. Poyas was a smart man. Poyas is smart. Poyas said, I don't trust house slaves. This was his reasoning for not trusting house slaves. This is what Poyas said. He said, it's like I'm waiting for you to get done with that.
You got it.
This is what Poyas said. Poyas said he told one of his recruiting agents to take care and don't mention it to those waiting men who receive presents of old coats from their masters, or they'll betray us. I will speak to them. I'm going to read that one more time. He said, I told one of the recruiting agents to take care and don't mention it to those waiting men who receive presents of old coats. Why would he say that? The reason why he would say that is because he know that any black slave that's receiving gifts from their master is going to betray. They're going to betray. They're going to snitch. Why? Because they got it good. They get in the shoes. They get in the new shoe. The masters pass me down shoes. They get in the coat. They get in his new hat. They get in special treatment. You're going to find out that right there. You're going to find out that right there is a psychology in Christianity. It was used to divide us. It was used to cause us to betray each other.
Right.
They knew, the master knew why he was giving these certain slaves this and that, the old coats, these hand-me-down things, and why he was treating the other one so bad. Because he wanted to create division, because if we're divided as a nation, what happens? We fall. That's in the Bible. All right? Notwithstanding Poyas' command, some slaves ignored his instruction because they knew of how slaves willing to poison their masters' wells. The attack was planned for July 16, 1822, and estimated 9,000 slaves had been enlisted. That is crazy right there. Some people still ignored it. Some people said, I'm still going to go tell certain people because there's certain people I trust. There was some compromising going on. They didn't want to obey orders. And Isupk, we obey orders for a reason.
That's right.
They didn't want to obey orders. It says the attack was planned for July 16, 1822, an estimated 9,000 slaves. They had 9,000 willing slaves that was ready to fight because of the brutality and the enslavement of their people. 9,000 people. Next slide, please. And by the way, these excerpts come from Andrea L. Dennis. She wrote a documentary called A Snitch in Time. I got all of the information on it. If you need it at the end of this lecture, then please get up with me and I'll give you that information. It's also on the bottom. I don't know if y'all can see it. but it's also on the bottom of these slides. All her information, so you can go find it. All right? Authorities detected the plan in the last week of May when a slave named William Paul tried to recruit Peter Devaney, a house slave. Devaney betrayed the group by consulting free black named William Pencil, who advised Devaney to tell his master, which he did. All right? I'll read it again. Devaney betrayed the group by consulting a free black named William Pencil, who advised Devaney to tell his master. All right, so Devaney is brought in on this plan, but Devaney decides, I'm going to go tell this man, but this man is advising him to go tell the master. Go snitch. Oh, don't tell me that. You need to go tell your master.
Right.
You know? However, Devaney was only able to give authorities a bare bones plan, meaning he couldn't really give them the exact plans. He could only give them a rough draft of what was really going to happen. Recruits knew only the name of their assigned leader in general plans. Only leaders of the plot knew details in order to prevent the arrest or betrayal of one person from resulting in the collapse of the entire plan. For 2 weeks, VC continued to plan and the government authorities investigated. So VC moved the date of attack. On Friday, before the new scheduled day, the group was betrayed again. This time by a slave who knew plans and some names. His name was George Wilson. All right? George Wilson, another slave and leader in the African church, also provided information. All right? Another act of betrayal, man. Betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. Why is this happening? We're going to get into it. I'm going to show you why it's happening. But I'm just showing you some examples so far of it happening. Go to the next slide, please. Y'all follow me? Results of a failed plot. VC of 5 leaders were tried, convicted, and executed on July 2nd, 1822. Only one leader confessed. All others remained silent. Devaney and Wilson were emancipated by the legislature and given lifetime pensions. Pencil received $1,000 in a tax exemption. Y'all hear that? For snitching or for getting them caught for this revolution that they was getting ready to start, they received $1,000 in a tax pension. What does that sound like today? That sounds like what did I say? A payoff, right? That's exactly what it is, and that's exactly what happens today in today's time. Just imagine your Christian leaders right now getting paid off to keep you blind to the truth. Right. It's the same thing. Or somebody talking about turning you in, like some Israelite groups teach that they'll turn you in for some money, man. There are some groups that'll turn you in for $1,000 in the tax exemption. That's right. You understand? Not in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, though. Under Commander Junior Honor. Keep going. During the spring and summer of 1800, this is Prosser. I don't know if y'all know about Gabriel Prosser, but also another prominent figure that tried to lead a revolution up in Virginia. All right? Prosser planned his rebellion. By August, several thousand slaves had been enlisted. On the day it was to begin, August 30th, 2 slaves, Tom and Pharaoh, betrayed the plot to their master, who in turn told authorities. Another act of betrayal, man. The governor called out the militia. Prosser did not know of the betrayal, and that night approximately 1,000 slaves gathered. A thunderstorm prevented them from attacking when the storm washed out points of entry into the city. So Prosser postponed the attack. He fled by boat, but was located in Norfolk, Virginia, on September 25th, 1800, by 2 Negroes who ultimately betrayed him. Prosser and many co-conspirators were arrested before they could reassemble to carry out the insurrection. So there you go, another betrayal, and then that's another revolution that went downhill and eventually fell because of betrayal, because of disloyalty. That's right. You understand? Because of